It is important for Kellogg to stress the relevance of empathy in all our teaching and in our research, because this is something that we've been doing forever.
So we created this award to recognize Kellogg alums. We want to recognize CEOs and other leaders who set an example, because I have a firm belief that if you cannot see it, you cannot be it.
I was talking with David Kabiller about what type of research our faculty at Kellogg was doing, what type of teaching and leadership with empathy we're doing with the students, and David immediately, latched onto that. The entire story resonated with him, and he felt, empathy is so important, also for success in business. And this is how we started having a discussion about it. The more he got enthusiastic, the more I got enthusiastic.
In today's day and age, how rapidly the economy is changing and technology is changing, understanding the stresses on employees because how rapidly things are changing, we at Kellogg are uniquely positioned to teach our students how to deal with that changing world.
At Kellogg, students learn not only about finance, accounting, and operations, but also about topics in our management curriculum like leadership, ethics, managing diversity, leading teams, and negotiations. Each one of these subjects speak directly to traits that are and will continue to be essential to future business leaders, like empathy, perspective taking, and harnessing the power of differences.
It is a skill that's teachable. It's not something that's set in stone or fixed. And so we have the opportunity to help people to cultivate and develop that critical skill.
One of our 5 cultural principles is called Act with Empathy. For each of these principles, we've defined a set of behaviors to embody it. For us, Act with Empathy, we defined a few behaviors. One is see through the eyes of others. The second is assume positive intent. And the third is seek diverse perspectives. So to me, those 3 simple ideas, practice in a diligent way, add up to empathy. And when we challenge ourselves in each of those 3 dimensions, it can really change the conversation, change the outcome.
When empathy often breaks down, it's because people don't understand other people across difference, especially across differences like social class, race, and gender. And so my work is really trying to understand what are some of the cultural obstacles that fuel these misunderstandings, that make it hard for people to empathize across difference. And then on the other hand, how can we foster empathy in a way that helps people to understand other people's different perspectives in a way that can help them to empathize across difference more effectively.
That's empathy. It's getting folks of different functional disciplines, different perspectives, different ways they're evaluated and motivated together around common problems, deeply connected to what the consumer values.
I recently invited one Kellogg alum to speak to my negotiations class about the awesome work he's done to transform his organization's relationships with their suppliers from a highly contentious win-lose environment to a more collaborative approach that focused on joint value creation and building sustainable partnerships. That change in philosophy paid the organization back in spades when the pandemic hit and supply chains were stressed. By having invested in relationships, the Kellogg alum was able to ensure that his organization was prioritized when allocation was tight and suppliers had to make decisions about which companies to allocate supply to and which they weren't.
Whether I talk to an alum of 2 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30, they always talk about this special culture. Very often they mention empathy. I always say this is in the DNA of Kellogg. This is something that comes natural to us, and that's why we are so distinctive as a culture. And therefore is also a way for us to tell the world that this is who we are.
And it's my hope that with the introduction of more empathy and the awareness and cultivating that it actually will strengthen capitalism and perpetuate innovation. But when we see leaders who are CEOs, who are both strong, but yet show empathy, a very powerful leader could have both. And so I think it's very important for us to celebrate those people